Good day, everybody. Before the video starts, I just want to say thank you guys so much for 150 subscribers. If you remember, like a while ago, I announced that this will be my next subscriber milestone, and well, we finally hit it! I know it's been quite some time since then, but I just want to thank you guys for this milestone. I know it might not be much for some people, but for me, it's a lot, so just thank you guys. Enjoy the video. School of Rock. Definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. And I know I say my favorite movie of all time about a lot of things, but realistically, I really do enjoy this movie. I like the characters, and I like Jack Black in it, and all the kids' characters, and overall, I really do enjoy this movie. I love the message of it to stick up to the man, like, I really do love it. And overall, this is just a really, really good movie. But we are not talking about this movie today. We are instead talking about the awful School of Rock television program by Nickelodeon. This show, like most of the new Nickelodeon shows, is awful. Like, god-awful. And unlike those other shows, which are original ideas, this one is based off the movie, and it ruins a perfectly good movie. A lot of the plot holes that the first movie explained, like, I don't know, they just make plot holes that were in the original movie worse in this, and they full on just, it has so many problems with it. And I don't even know where to start, honestly. I really honestly don't, but I'll start with, like, some of the plot holes that this show has, which the original movie didn't have, and plot holes that the original movie had, but this show pretty much. Okay, so I might as well start explaining the plot a little bit and how these two shows differ from it. So the plot is that this man-child basically wants to make it big and start his own band, but he ends up getting kicked out of his band and needs to get a job because well, in the original movie, it's because he was living with his own old best friend and his wife, or, like, girlfriend or whatever, and his girlfriend thinks he needs to move out, and he was just mooching off of him, basically, and they basically force him to get a job. And his friend is a substitute teacher, so he decides to pretend to be his friend and become a substitute teacher. It's perfect, but this show completely ruins that. Okay, the teacher in this show does not live with his best friend. He is not mooching off of anybody. He just still lives with his parents, and the reason for him becoming a substitute teacher is simply just because he wanted to. He doesn't want any money or anything. He just wanted to do that, and he previously did have a job selling frozen yogurt. He just decided to be a substitute teacher just because he wanted to. The emotional baggage from that is just completely gone. And see, in the original show, they actually hired Jack Black's character because he was pretending to be someone else with actual teaching experience. In this show, whatever this actor's name is, his character, does not have a single bit of teaching experience, yet they still hired him. Why would they even do that? Like, in the original show, it makes more sense because he's pretending to not be himself. But in this show, it literally doesn't make sense because he has no teaching experience. Why would they hire someone as a substitute teacher with no teaching experience? Okay, now Jack Black's character and this guy from the TV show, they both have, like, sort of different names, I guess you can say, so I'm just gonna refer to them as the teacher from this video. But basically what happens is that the teacher decides that he is going to make a few students in the classroom a part of his new band because he failed with his previous band and he wants to win battle of the bands. So yeah, that's basically what happens. And some of the students end up not getting picked for the band and end up being roadies and like doing other stuff like managing the band and stuff. So, in the original movie, the teacher explains to them that their job is very important, and, you know, that's good. But in this show, all of the other students do not get explained how their job is important too, and they don't even do anything. All they do is just sit around and bob their heads to the music that's being sung by the other students. Why would they cut this part out of the movie? This is just a plot hole that they created, which wasn't in the original movie. While we're on the subject of the teachers, let's talk about Principal Mullins, one of the most crucial characters to the story. Now, in the original, she has some real development. She started off as this really strict principal that was mean to everybody. But it turns out, we learn later on in the movie, that she is only this way because of her powerful position, and she's using this strictness to cope with the fact that she's in this powerful position, and that parents will blame her if anything goes wrong. And in this show, none of that happens. Nope, none of it. Principal Mullins is just a blank slate. She's just your typical mean principal. All she is just a rude principal. She has no character development. And one thing that I really don't like is the fact that this is aimed at a younger audience. Now, this might not be something to get mad about, but I'm just saying, okay? The original movie was aimed at a slightly older audience, and it introduced the concept of rock and roll to a lot of youngins and stuff, and I don't know, it was just way better. Like, all of the morals and stuff and the things that were taught to the children and, like, the songs that they use and, like, the aesthetics and, like, the environment. It was all just very different. This show has a very different tone. And as for the songs that they play, a lot of them aren't even classic rock and roll songs. Most of them are just modern pop music and stuff. There's a lot of episodes that are just like any other sitcom. It's barely even about the band. There's a lot of episodes, especially in the second season, that are just about being just a sitcom and stuff. Like, a lot of it is just like any other Nickelodeon sitcom. It doesn't have to be based off of School of Rock. They should have just made an awful sitcom show instead of making it be based off of a classic, incredible movie like School of Rock. One thing that I really don't like about this show is that they just change some characters for no reason. And when I say change, I mean like completely just change their characters, okay? For example, Tamika in the original show was a plus-size African-American female who was conscious about her weight. But the teacher taught her that she needs to like empower herself and stuff. Now that's all fine and dandy, but in this show, she's just a regular girl with no problems at all. Like, I don't get why would they even do that. And also, they completely cut out one of the students. I can't remember her name at the moment, but she played one of the instruments and she was pretty important in the original movie, but they completely cut her character out of this. Now, this change, it isn't actually too bad, because this character in the original show was honestly the original movie was honestly pretty forgettable. Like, I don't even remember her name, and she didn't really do much. But she still had a pretty important part, and this show, instead of cutting her out, should have just kept her and, like, developed her character more, but instead, they just cut her out. The original movie also had a lot of diversity. There was a bunch of different diverse cultures in it. For example, in the original show, as I previously mentioned, Tamika was African American and Lawrence was Asian. But in this show, Lawrence is just white, and a bunch of other people are white, except for Zach, because Zach is now Asian. So I don't really know why made this change, but it's not really that much of a big deal. But what I really don't like is how they changed Lawrence. In the original show, he was meant to be like an actual nerd. He wasn't cool, he didn't even have any friends, and he didn't even want to be a part of the band because he wasn't cool enough. But, the teacher inspired him that he needed to be cool. Each of the characters had their own problems that they ended up overcoming. But in this show, Lawrence isn't a loser at all. In fact, he's just best friends with everybody. Everybody's, like, friends with him and stuff. He is not a loser at all. He's just a nerd still, but he's just friends with everybody. In the original show, he was definitely not friends with everybody. So they pretty much got rid of one of his character arc, which was that he wasn't cool enough. They just got rid of it. Now, I'm not going to go into extreme detail on why most of the characters are different. Those are just the two that I really wanted to mention because of how different they were. But a lot of characters are just different, okay? Now, as for the teacher himself, Jack Black definitely takes the cake for being the better teacher. Because his character in the original, I don't know, he was just more believable. Because Jack Black, I don't know, he just fits the character so well. Now, in this new show, the replacement they got, he isn't that bad, I actually have to say. He does have the same spirit, but he can never, like, replace Jack Black. Jack Black will always be the best School of Rock teacher. Definitely not this new guy. So overall, this television program is it's just awful. It sucks. It's just like any other new Nickelodeon sitcom. They replace all the hot teenagers with just preteens, and it's just awful. And they pretty much just ruined this perfectly amazing movie. So, if you want my recommendation, please don't watch this show. If you're a very young child and you haven't seen the original School of Rock, yeah, sure, I guess you might enjoy this show. There are definitely some shows that are definitely worse than this. It definitely is still watchable, but I'm just saying, for a fan of the original movie, it's really awful for me. So, if you want to watch School of Rock, just watch the original movie. Don't bother watching the show or anything. If you want to watch a Nickelodeon sitcom, then go ahead. I'm not stopping you or anything, but just want to say that this show's awful and the movie is way better. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.